Unfortunately, today I don't have good news for cruisers in Australia. Royal Caribbean, one of the biggest companies that sails from Australian ports, has officially cancelled its eagerly awaited 2021-2022 season. And I bring all the details and the list of ships and ports affected in this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell to be the first to receive the latest cruises and travel news and more. Hello cruise mates! Unfortunately, it's official. Royal Caribbean has just announced the cancellation of its Australian season that was supposed to start in September 2021 and running through to the end of April 2022. The company justified the cancellation in the uncertainties and restrictions imposed by the Australian government. Since 27 of March 2020, the government has set an embargo prohibiting cruise ships from entering Australian waters, and since then, no international cruise ship has been allowed to return to the country. The Australian government created the Australian Health Principal Protection Committee, a health commission that reviews the conditions and authorizations for ships to return to the country, roughly every 3 months, and they have just extended the embargo until September 2021. This decision has caused many uncertainties and issues for the cruise industry, which will be starting its new Australian season in the same month. Another important factor that impacted Royal Caribbean's decision was the constant change in rules and guidelines related to the COVID situation imposed by the government, including its hotel quarantine policy and the extremely slow pace of the vaccination in the country, which currently has only 6% of the population fully vaccinated. It culminated with today's announcement, where Royal Caribbean informed guests with booked sailing departing from Australian ports starting as soon as September 2021 that the cruises were cancelled and ships were going to be redirected to ports in other countries. So, the Quantum of the Seas, which would be sailing from Brisbane's port for the first time ever, will stay in Singapore and extend its season in the country for the third time in a row. The ship returned to sail in the region in December 2020 with great success and no case of COVID on board to this day. The Ovation of the Seas, which would be sailing from Sydney, will have a 4-voyage extension at the end of its Alaska season in September 2021 instead of sailing to Australia. The Serenade of the Seas, that would also be sailing from Sydney, had its trip to Australia cancelled. Passengers who have had the cruise cancelled will have the option to receive 100% of the payment back or 125% of the amount paid in credit for a future cruise, or yet participate in a limited version of the company's lift and shift program, where the passenger can secure the same cabin and price for a future trip. In this case, valid only for the Ovation of the Seas, sailing between 20th of September and 16th of October 2022. Since May, several cruise ships from companies such as Celebrity Cruises, MSC, and also Royal Caribbean have returned to operate, departing from several ports in Europe, the United States, the Caribbean, and Singapore, proving time and time again the efficiency and effectiveness of the onboard health protocols against COVID-19. To give you an idea, Quantum of the Seas has already made more than 60 trips since it returned to Singapore in December 2020, and during this time, it has received more than 82,000 passengers, with no cases of COVID on board. This makes the situation even more embarrassing for the Australian government and very frustrating for cruise fans around here in Australia, seeing the industry come back to life worldwide and continuing with no concrete expectations or answers about what's to come next in the country. And I can attest to that feeling, as I was expecting to visit Tasmania on the Serenade of the Seas in November and Hawaii on a Trans-Pacific sailing on the Ovation of the Seas at the end of the season on April 22. I now account for 8 cruise cancellations since the start of the pandemic. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful that Australia has been very successful in dealing with the pandemic compared to many other countries, and I believe that the population's health is the most important thing now. What I don't understand is the government's double standards, which continues to impose quarantine on the population but does not prioritize vaccination, does not allow international travels, and bars cruise ships in our ports, even though the new health protocols are much safer than many places in the country, but at the same time allows packed planes to fly again in stadiums full of spectators for football matches. I really hope the government will reach a consensus soon on the reopening of the borders. The situation and uncertainties caused by the constant changes of methods and strategies about the COVID-19 handling leaves Australia completely isolated from the rest of the world, and this situation has started to become unbearable for many. I would love to hear your opinion on this matter. Leave your views in the comment section below. Have a great weekend!